Okay, well, thank you, media, for waiting on us. I have here our guest for the moment. We just completed successfully our own bilateral with the Republic of Fiji. The Prime Minister of Fiji, His Excellency Honorable Sitiveni Rabuka, is gracious to join me again for this press. And I just want to inform our country, and I also pay special mention to, I think we have a few international media who are with us, and more importantly, the media from Fiji, who have joined us and joined the Prime Minister on this occasion. Thank you for coming. Fiji and Prime Minister are no Fiji and Papua New Guinea are no strangers, I beg your pardon. We have been in this part of planet Earth since time immemorial. We have been in partnership as a country since we gained independence in 1975. They were 5 years early as an independent nation. They gained independence in 1970. For Papua New Guineans tuning in today and listening in, to place on record, they were very instrumental in pushing for our cause for independence in the 70s. And the Prime Minister then, the founding father of Fiji, late Ratu Se Kamishisamara, stood with our own founding father of our country, Grand Chief Sir Michael Thomas Somare, at independence in 1975. And so for Papua New Guinea, we have a shared history with Fiji. As I did make mention yesterday, we are joined at the hips forever. We're here to stay, and it's important. The Prime Minister of Fiji, elder statesman of our Pacific, has come in early ahead of the FIBIC meeting, which take place on Monday, and we had our fair set of exchange. Let me also appreciate him. He has offered kindly to us some educational spaces for Papua New Guineans. He's offered scholarship, especially in the space of tourism and hospitality industry, for Papua New Guineans to go and get education from the educational institutions. As all of us know, Fiji is leading tourism destination in our Pacific, and the programs they offer in Fiji was offered to Papua New Guinean students. We say thank you for the kind gesture, and we appreciate and we will pursue. I want to also indicate that there's a lot of Fijian investments in Papua New Guinea. Likewise, there's a lot of Papua New Guinean investments in Fiji. If I want to list all of them, time will run out on us for this press moment. There are substantial investments both ways. Fiji investments in PNG, PNG investments in Fiji. This indicates to us that we're not just only government-to-government aid relations, but more importantly, we are business-to-business in relations, as well as at the cultural level and people level, there are deep culture and people relationships. I take this time to convey to the people of East New Britain Province sincere apologies from the Prime Minister and his delegation. They were to visit East New Britain today, but the Prime Minister has indicated the cultural protocol demands that he go back to Fiji and make a specific visit for this, depending on time and depending on the protocols that relates to dealing with Fijians who have been fighting in Papua New Guinea soil, Fijians who've been missionaries in Papua New Guinea soil, who are resting in Papua New Guinea, including those that are rested in East New Britain. So I just want to convey these apologies to the people of East New Britain, Governor Michael Marum, members of your provincial assembly, members of your provincial executive council. Sincere apologies from our elder statesman of the Pacific and Melanesia, but he has indicated an appointment into the not too distant future or going forward. National government has committed to embrace this as a national event that will entrench the cultural relationship, people-to-people relationship we have. So you can see with Fiji here, just not a bilateral engagement at the government-to-government. We have government-to-government we have business-to-business, and we have people-to-people engagements. And our meeting today is a reciprocal meeting. When I visited the Prime Minister upon his election, on record, his coming back to politics, we were the first foreign visitor to visit him, to give him respect. I followed on the tradition of Papua New Guinean leaders who are usually the earliest, if not the first, to be with Fiji since 1970, 75, 87, to be more so. The Prime Minister is very well versed with a moment in time in Fiji's history when he was in leadership, when the whole world sort of sat in. PNG said Fiji and Fiji first must be given its place in its rightful context. And so, following in these traditions, I went and paid respect to the senior of our Pacific Island and the leader of Fiji. He has reciprocated this visit earlier for us to be together, prepare for the upcoming FIBIC meeting that will take place on Monday next week. So it is with this regard that I appreciate the visit here at the government-to-government level today, higher than ever before. He paid respect to our head of state yesterday. He did something that not too many leaders would do, or I don't think too many leaders of past have done, or if not, no one has done at all. He knelt and he sat down and did an apology and paid respect to a head of state like no one before. Sir, I just want to commend you. You need not apologize. We are a nation of equals here. You're my brother nation. You're leader of your country, but you've did what you have to do. We totally acknowledge your respect to Papua New Guinea in that humble and kind gesture you did last night. What happened of past is something of past. Was not a major issue. Papua New Guinea have no memory of the past. The last 5 years or so, COVID-19 descended upon the world and our Pacific. Your office had to be closed based on cost-related issues, based on COVID-19 that it came in. But today I want to also indicate to the country that both nations have reciprocated land. We have made available a land title. Deputy Prime Minister did present a title, and I will be handing over this title at the close of our press, giving them land for the embassy in Waigani, and they have given us land in Suva. We have indicated an outstanding support we owed them since 2015 would be given to start up construction of this embassy to consolidate our own presence in both countries, their presence in Waigani, our presence in Suva. And so that was made today, and I just want to announce to our country, Fiji is back. They have not been gone. COVID-19 made them go back to Suva. They're back, they're here. They brought with them our former ambassador who was here, Ambassador Tiki Tua, who's back here with us. And I want to also announce to the country and to Fiji that we've appointed an High Commissioner, Ambassador designate already, and the Cabinet is in the process of releasing him. He's a senior public servant in Waigani. He will be very soon notified, and he will be released to serve in the office in Suva. PNG, Fiji is here to stay. Prime Minister,
Yeah.
Vinakalevu, thank you, Tomas.
Naka.
Thank you, Bada Heroya, from my Motuan side of things, and we appreciate you coming here. We look forward to your wisdom over the weekend. We are here to assist and support you. Please address your press, our press.
No worry. Thank you very much, Prime Minister. Members of the media, Daba Namona, good morning too. Daba is a Fijian word, D-A-B-A. It means total, and it applies to our local crabs, even in season. It's the best time to catch a crab It's very tasty. It's fully meated. So daba is a very rich Fijian word. So daba ramona. Good morning, crew. I have read positive media reports about this official visit. Thank you all very much, ladies and gentlemen of the press corps. My wife and the Fiji delegation has been greatly honored, and we're so impressed with the degree of sincerity and the depth of your feelings expressed in your ceremonies and presentations of welcome. We're very grateful to the people of Papua New Guinea. You have once again displayed open hospitality to the President, the chiefs, the government, and the people of Fiji. And we receive those on their behalf. I want to take this time to thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, for setting aside your busy schedule to host me and the delegation. We thank you also for recognizing the importance of our two nations' bilateral relationships. You were the first state visitor to Fiji after elections, and this is also my first state visit, apart from the one I had to urgently make to Kiribati a few weeks after I was sworn into office to repair some slight damage in our relationship. That is done. This is the first full state visit that I have been invited to make since being sworn in as Prime Minister on the 24th of December last year.
Thank you.
I have assured the Honorable Prime Minister of the very high respect that Fiji has for the bilateral relationship Fiji has with Papua New Guinea. It predates our modern history. It has always been there, and by sending his apologies to the people of East New Britain this morning, I also send out my apologies to them. Suka Naivalu, VCE, was from our province, and the paramount chief is the Speaker of the House in Fiji. And if I had to visit, I would have had to get his clearance because of the traditional protocol that would be accorded to me when I go back after visiting the resting site of one of our heroes. And there are some missionaries who are also interred there, and they have made Fiji richer by becoming part of your land here in Papua New Guinea. So when that is all set, when the protocol is all done, there will be a visit, hopefully, involving my paramount chief, and it is only appropriate that we have that visit taking place after the Great Council of Chiefs is reassembled into the law books of Fiji and into reality. For some time, almost 20 years, our chiefs have not been accorded the rightful respect that they inherited from their forefathers. We owe it to them to acknowledge them, and once that is done, I will come with my paramount chief or ask him to represent us all and come and visit the kind people of East New Britain and pay our respects to the fallen who are still part of that land. Prime Minister, thank you very much for that open invitation.
Sure.
We continue to acknowledge the major roles in our discussion today, and also in my call on His Excellency, the Governor General last night. I continue to acknowledge the contribution to our current relationship by our founding members, our founding leaders, the late Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare, and for us in Fiji, the late founding Prime Minister of independent Fiji, Rabuka Samara. We promised during our discussions to continue to develop those relationships, and it is an honor. It is an honor, really, to be in a leadership role as we continue to develop our relationship. Although it's part of the job as Prime Minister, but it is an honor to be able to do that for our people, with your people. It's more than just government to government or regional geographic relationships. It's more eternal than those government or even regional concerns. The Prime Minister and I had very fruitful discussions on bilateral interests, and they will be continued by the officials as we continue to enjoy your hospitality here. There's a lot of PAG investments in Fiji, and we're also looking to grow our investments in Papua New Guinea. Hopefully, when those investors from Fiji come, they will come in a new package with active participation and ownership of indigenous Fijian interests with the use of Fijian holdings and Tauke Trust Fund, being in partnership with some of the standing and successful businesses at home who will take up the opportunity to also invest here in Papua New Guinea. The land allocation we're very grateful for, and we also have a location in Fiji. I'm sure it will also be taken up, and hopefully you will like it when you come to see it. Our concerns for climate change, we expressed those in our discussions, and we will continue to strive for acknowledgement of our situation, and also for help where we need help for the rectification of the problems we now have. The joint concerns or the collective concerns we have in the Pacific, and also the ability of our bigger development partners to be able to help us out of our situation, particularly with our most threatened Micronesian neighbors. We are really united in our effort to get world attention to be diverted into our region. Hopefully we will continue to expand the idea of a Pacific Commonwealth, where we have what is the Pacific to be common to all the Pacific dwellers and peoples. As the Prime Minister has mentioned, we will collaborate more in the area of higher education, with the Fiji National University offering some scholarships in the area of hospitality and tourism. But as we tasted the food last night, and also in our hotels, it's last few meals, I do not know whether we should be inviting you to come and learn from us. Perhaps we should be learning from you. I've also asked the Minister for Home Affairs, in other words, also known as Defense in some jurisdictions, to extend a hand and include Papua New Guinea Defense Forces in the training facilities we have at home, because as we saw recently in Fiji's participation in relief work in Vanuatu and New Zealand, we can do very well to have that a bigger or a wider cooperation of countries in the region. And the most obvious choice at the moment is Papua New Guinea. The PNG Defense Forces can easily deploy some for training in our joint facilities set up in Nadi for any future deployment requirements to help out in our Pacific neighborhood. Mr. Prime Minister, ladies and gentlemen of the press corps, it's been a very, very fruitful morning, and last night was also very fruitful, and I look forward to more fruitful discussions in the course of the next few days as we wait for our colleagues from the Pacific and also our guests from India and America in the next few days of dialogues. Vinawale.
All right, Vinaka Levu, thank you for this release to the press. As the Prime Minister has indicated, some of the issues that we discussed, needless for me to repeat. But one of the main purposes also of him coming earlier and me meeting is for us to consolidate ourselves as we await to welcome the Pacific Island leaders who will come in on Sunday. We will have a combined dinner Sunday evening, and for the Pacific to be in one accord. Many issues faced us. If we had caught one of his statements, both Papua New Guinea and Fiji, as two big economies in the region, saying the plight of many of our small island communities and island nations. We have many island communities both in Fiji and PNG. For PNG, we have over 600 small island communities. But we have island nations who are exposed to the travesty of climate change, imported inflation, tough times in their own local economy as a result of war that is not in their doing or as a result of COVID-19 and elsewhere. As big brothers in the Pacific, big sisters in the Pacific, both nations, Fiji and PNG, are standing together on those regional issues as we await to welcome our Pacific Island leaders into Papua New Guinea on Sunday. Together, we will be addressing those issues. The Fijian Prime Minister, as the elder statesman of the region, will be given prominence in some of these conversations, and so that together on Monday, when we meet two world leaders, Prime Minister Modi and Secretary of State Blinken, our voices can be heard clearer with no dilution on issues we go through in the region, so that our global superpower partners can find a place of assisting us in capacity building, restoration of island communities, picking up our economy in commerce and trade, discussions on education opportunities, so that the Pacific Island nations living through this moment, especially in our exposure to climate change-related sea level rise, weather pattern changes, we have no big input in the global carbon footprint. Our ocean is a big carbon sink. Our forest is a big carbon sink. Yet we are the biggest victim to the climate change issues. And some of these global issues, together, the leadership of Prime Minister Rabuka with myself, we will anchor the Pacific in together into a conduit of conversation with global leaders on what we feel is Pacific Island issues. And he brings to the table his experience. Him coming in early is to support Papua New Guinea also, apart from this bilateral we have, support Papua New Guinea in hosting this important global meet that is taking place next week, Monday. On this note, I want to also confirm that the program for next week, Sunday and Monday, is firm and fixed. India Prime Minister arriving 10 o'clock in the evening, and the program starts on Monday. And of course, when his wheels up, when he leaves us, Secretary Blinken will bring in an apology from President Biden, and he will touch down into Prot Moresby at around 4:30 on Monday next week. But for the moment, thank you very much, Prime Minister Rabuka. You have been a wonderful host to Papua New Guinea back in your country, Fiji. Thank you for allowing BSP to prosper and find residence in Fiji. And thank you for your shareholders who have invested in BSP also. We have other businesses in Fiji. Credit Corp remains in Fiji. We got landowner businesses from Kutubu and the Gulf and Oktedi. They're also investors in Fiji, and many, many more Papua New Guinea companies in Fiji. We just like to appreciate this, and we also welcome, likewise, Vodafone and other businesses who are in PNG from Fiji. This is your place as much as it is my place in Fiji. We coexist to the benefit of our people now and going forward into the future as we have been in the past. So thank you, Tomas. Thank you, Brother Heria, Vinakalevu. Let me take one or two questions either from him or to me from the media. So
Thank you.
You take precedence.
If I can start with the greatest benefit we have with Prime Minister Modi's visit is that many still view India as a developing nation. It is one of the most developed nations in the world right now. It's one of the fastest growing economies in the world, and a very rich country in cultures and in culture in any way, the traditional cultures and also modern cultures. So to have them visiting us at this time means that the world is aware of the situation in the Pacific. They are aware of our aspirations and our objectives in our own development. They sympathize with the thinking of developing countries. They know that we are suffering more than they have probably ever suffered, but they are way ahead, but they still understand their roots. And when we talk to them about our own development problems, they are fully aware of those and most sympathetic to our needs.
All right, if I could add on from the response that my colleague has made, as he correctly said, India has emerged as the leading economy of all emerging and developing nations. India and the Pacific share common history. We come out from the past of being ruled by colonial nations. We have emerged as developing nations in the global alliances of nations. My senior has introduced a concept now called Commonwealth of Pacific. There will be a discussions. There's another grouping called the South-South Cooperation. It connotes those on the north side of the development equator and those on the south side of the development equator. North are the affluent and advanced, south are the emerging ones. I was privileged to address a conference India hosted on those who are emerging economies. And I am putting on the table a concept called the third realm, third group, third force in global geopolitics. Those who are emerging economies, developing economies. It's just no longer the East and West in the context of what is East and West today. The South nations, who are emerging nations, can have a powerful block of trade, commerce, technology, import-export relations. India offers the South-South nations a great opportunity for the relations. Their economy is big. Today ranked 5th biggest economy. They will be 4th and 3rd biggest economy within this decade. They have capacities that ranges from the floor, basic ordinary technology to satellite-age technology. That is a range of product that nations who are emerging like ourselves can tap into and assimilate much easier, faster than leapfrogging into advanced technology ASAP. India also, in my view, has a propensity to do business with small emerging nations much better, much faster, much easier. Both Fiji and PNG and Pacific have relationship with India since we all became independent, but that potential has never been tapped in a big way. This is the only third FIPIC meeting. Our issues will be put to them in clarity, including the challenges we face, but more importantly, for us in Pacific, the opening up of new market, the opening up of new capacities to tap into. And in the context of PNG, Mr. Prime Minister, for instance, we are inviting them to set up pharmaceutical pharmaceutical factories here instead of PNG, buying pharmaceuticals through third parties, and the third parties eventually end up procuring from India. We want to set up pharmaceutical also here. That engagement has been running on government to government. When India comes in here for this meeting, it gives us an opportunity for the Prime Minister of India to have bilateral with us all individually, as well as the multilateral meeting under the auspices of FIPIC that will be taking place. So it opens a third realm, third dimension. You've never had it before. I'm putting it out to the public. In the context of 2 or 3 big nations from East and West contesting, it indicates that Papua New Guinea and Pacific have access to an equally bigger nation, bigger economy within reach in as far as our bilateral and multilateral in Pacific is concerned. All right, any other question from anyone, please? Nogada? We'll be having a lot of meet and greet from the press very soon. Our guest, our special guest, our Prime Minister of Fiji, is visiting UPNG, is visiting 1 or 2 more sites here. I've told him the doors are open, you are free to move around. He's also visiting Central Province to see the innovative agricultural farm up there. And so the media, you are free to associate with him. Please promote Fiji as much as possible. They're a good place to promote. They're part of our Pacific, part of our Melanesia. Thank you very much. God bless.
Naka. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Naka.
Sorry, before we have some 2 exchanges or a couple of exchanges to make, Deputy Prime Minister, if I could ask you to... The land's title, I think Deputy Prime Minister have already given. Chief Secretary, come please. And DPM, come, let's all stand with the occasion. The Minister Trade, Minister Education, Minister Internal Security. Where's the ministers on the side? Can we?
Come from Ramesh also.
All right, to every Papua New Guinean, it is really my distinguished pleasure to pass on a state lease of our land in the heart of Waigani to Fiji Prime Minister, His Excellency the Honorable Sitiveni Rabuka, on behalf of the Fijian President, the chiefs, and the people of Fiji. Land in which they could build the chancery on, so that in the heart of Waigani, Fiji is seated with us as we work together side by side going forward into the future.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We acknowledge this 99-year gift on behalf of the President, the chiefs, the government, and the people of Fiji. Thank you very much. Our need for land here is also just as high as our need for victory on the rugby field. And we need assistance. So we will be asking Prime Minister Marape to be on our run-on team to make our team, the Nrua team, stronger. Hopefully you will wear it with pride, and I'll tell the team, look, you have a team member in a very high place in Papua New Guinea, you better perform.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Very good. And they've indicated a land to us likewise in the heartland of Suva, so it's a reciprocation on both sides. We are excited for this in our own time. I'm privileged to be standing with you as senior leader of the Pacific to play my role and with my ministers here to consolidate our own 2 countries' relationship. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.